Introducing YubiOn WindowsLogon Standalone. YubiOn WindowsLogon Standalone is a solution that allows you to realize two-factor authentication using external authentication device to log on to your Windows device. You can immediately take security measures for your device by simple setup. In general, logon, as a method of identifying the user, authentication by ID password is widely used. Administrators thoroughly manage passwords, such as complicated password settings and regular password changes. However, there are limits to how users can remember all the complex passwords that vary from service to service. Administrators spend time responding to inquiries from users who have forgotten their password. Also, even if the password is operated correctly, it is not always secure. In recent years, passwords have been stolen by hacker attacks, increasing the risk of information leakage due to spoofing and unauthorized access. If confidential company information or personal information is leaked even once, it will lose credibility and there is a huge risk of compensation for damages. Two-factor authentication is being applied as a countermeasure against spoofing and unauthorized access. What is two-factor authentication? Authentication based on knowledge that only the person knows. Authentication using the property owned by the person. Biometric authentication using the physical characteristics of the person. Authentication by combining two of these three elements is called two-factor authentication. YubiOn's two-factor authentication uses a device called YubiKey. YubiKey is a high-performance external security device that supports various protocols and has been used all over the world. Simple to use. Users simply plug YubiKey into the USB port and touch. Realizes strong security strength with easy operation. With YubiOn WindowsLogon Standalone, you will need both a password and YubiKey to log on to your computer. Even if the password is leaked to others because you cannot log on to computer if you do not have a YubiKey, it is possible to reduce the cost of managing a complex password. I will explain the mechanism of YubiOn's two-factor authentication. In case of normal Windows, Windows authenticates the password entered by the user. When YubiOn is installed, device authentication by YubiOn is added before password authentication of normal Windows. After YubiOn authenticates the YubiKey one-time password entered by the user, Windows password authentication is performed. YubiKey's authentication is completed within computer, so it does not affect the authentication part of Windows. Therefore, even in an environment where you are using an Active Directory, you can install YubiOn's two-factor authentication without changing the settings of the Active Directory. For example, YubiOn can be used in such a scene. When you want to take security measures for a takeout computer that has a risk of being lost on the go, such as during business meetings or business trips. When you want to easily take security measures for the computer used for remote work. In addition to being able to enforce YubiKey's two-factor authentication in the window after access when accessing computer located in a remote location with remote desktop. Since YubiKey's one-time password is sent as keyboard input, it can be installed in virtual computers that cannot use the USB port, such as VDI environments on the cloud. YubiOn WindowsLogon Standalone is very simple to set up. To set up, you will need the installer, license file, and YubiKey that you received at the time of purchase. First, install the YubiOn WindowsLogon Standalone software on your computer. Launch the YubiOn WindowsLogon Standalone Settings tool, load the license file and activate the software. Simply select a Windows account in the Settings tool, plug YubiKey into the USB port used by that person, and configure the assignment settings. No complicated settings such as server linkage are required, and the settings are completed just by operating the computer. Security measures can be taken immediately. YubiOn WindowsLogon Standalone has some useful features. The master key feature normally sets the YubiKey assignments used for each account. YubiKey, which is specified as the master key in advance, can be used with any account. It is convenient to set in advance, such as YubiKey used by the administrator or emergency use when the user loses YubiKey. If you turn on the auto lock function, the screen will be locked automatically when you pull out YubiKey from the USB port when you leave your desk. By turning on the function to restrict setting changes, you can restrict the setting from being changed by non-administrator users. You can restrict users from uninstalling software by turning on uninstall control. These functions can be freely turned on and off with the setting tool. In addition, as a log function, you can check information such as the logged on user ID and YubiKey used in the event viewer, so it is easy to investigate in the unlikely event that an incident occurs. YubiOn WindowsLogon Standalone is available for each of the Windows operating systems you see. It was an introduction of YubiOn WindowsLogon Standalone.